Okay, for 68, again, I think it's kind of an unfair exam question. Unless you're really good at using a calculator or something, it seems like a lot of computation, easy to make a mistake or get confused. All right, but anyway, what you're given is you're given a starting point. And the starting point you're given is, you're given the point where x is 1, y is 3. And what they want you to do is, they want you to like move from one point to another one by using this thing over here. All right? And this is where things get a little bit tricky. You're saying, how do I do that? Well, what you're doing is you're actually, the x value here is going to determine the slope of this thing over here. So if I wrote this down over here, the slope at 1, 3, I write this over here. So dy dx at the number or the point 1, 3, it's easy to compute the slope, by the way. What's that going to be? Well, that was going to be 3 minus 2, which is the number 1. So I know the slope here at that particular point, whatever the curve is, the slope is going to be 1. Now you're going to use that slope to get to the very next point, right? The very next point. And how do you get the next point? Well, the next point, what you're doing is, you certainly know what when I said the next point, by the way, I know it's up here somewhere. Right? How do we know the positive slope of 1? What's it going to be? Well, what's the x going to be? I'm moving over a step size, right? 0.05. So it's 1.05. And then, what's the y value? You start to realize what you're doing over here. You're basically using slope to get that, all right? So let's write that down. So to do that, I'm going to say this, by the way, this is my initial point. This is my second point, and we'll look at the key later, all right? So let's get the y now. How do you get the y? Well, the y is going to be equal to, let's be careful about this. We got the 3, but now we're moving up though, right? Now moving up what? Let's put this down. It's going to be, I'm going to be careful now. It's going to be the slope. What's the slope going to be? Well, the slope was 1. And then the step size, 0.05. What is it going to give you? 3.05. Let's write that down. Now the problem is it's so repetitive doing it over and over again that what I would like to do is I would like to do it on a computer. I really think it lends itself to a computer use. And I by the way, I will go through using this Sage to do it too. But let me start outlining what I'm saying over here. The first point's 1, 3. The next point I computed was this one over here. Here comes the problem. The computation can get far more difficult. It's really what we're looking. The x is really easy to do, by the way. So if you thought about the x's, what are going to be? X0 is 1. Then you get 1.05. You're going to add 0.05, 1.1. Then you get this number over here. Eventually get to 1.2. What's the big problem? That's not the big problem, by the way, is computing the y's, by the way. It's rather repetitive, though. And what is going to be? It's going to be these things over here. That's all it is each and every time, by the way. So I kind of write those down for you as we move along, kind of progress along over here. And we're going to be getting this number eventually. So I want to point out in my notes, right, for this particular problem over here, I find it very tedious if I do it by hand, by the way, but it did go through me using Sage to do it. I do recommend you look at that. By the way, if you don't want to use Sage, learn some other product that you can do this for or do this with, all right? It's very repetitive, by the way. It's computation after computation. Thank you.